The last time we met, Sonali, was, of course, we can see, broken news here. And the last time we met, you were the anchor.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of journalists, including
Yes, of
me.
course, yes.
And, we were talking about the profession.
Did I do well?
You did fabulous job. I think what I really loved about what you did there was something I was saying about honesty, and you just picked on that point. Yeah, that's a good point. It's not about being honest; it's about being fair. And that's what a good anchor does, right? To pick a point that someone's made rather than make your own point, right? You were not making your own point; you were picking a point. And it just occurred to me coming here, like you've done an entire series. There's a second season on of Broken News. You really delved into that world of the newsroom, the world of journalism. What have you learned about journalism by playing it from the outside, of course, about the profession, about my profession?
I think there is a huge sort of respect for it. And when I say it's not a, like a pithy answer that I'm giving you. And I'll tell you why. Because from my exposure to journalists were the entertainment journalists.
That's right.
And, they're all amazing.
Yeah.
And really no shade on anybody. But that was the need of the day maybe or whatever it is. It's not a judgment. But the fact is that for me, from my point of view, most of the time I saw them as adversaries. So it was most of the
You also come from the 90s when there were all these glossy magazines.
Yes, and they were always on your set and usually were catering to somebody on the set. And hence they were definitely not catering to me. It never served the purpose to put my point of view across or that I could have one. So there was a very, I have had that very adversarial kind of a equation with the journalists.
With all of them? No one in particular or all of them?
With most of them. Most of them are very private person.
Right.
So, for example, like for the longest time, every time, I know exactly the 10 questions that will come to me. When you just spoke about it, you know it. There were those 10 questions that would be asked and nobody wanted to know anything beyond that. Now in those 10 questions, when did you start? How did you start? Who's your favorite actor? Which is your favorite color? Which is this thing? They didn't even bother asking you if you were reading a book because they didn't think you were reading. So that was also not there. But in that situation, I would always, to the same magazine over a period of time, have given them randomly different answers. They've never got it. Never.
Right.
And for me, that was entertainment for me. Because I was just in my own, now I understand that's a passive-aggressive way of dealing with things. And for me, I was just telling them that, look at you. Last time you asked me this question, I've given you this answer, you don't even remember that.
And well, you also don't remember that you have already asked this question.
Yeah, and you are not even interested in me. You have this idea of what I am. So even if I want to give you an answer, when you ask me something, you are cutting it out because you want to move on to a question that suits you. And then, of course, if ever you spoke about, there were some journalists who would have more depth to them. And if you ever, they said, but we can't help it. This is what you call the clickbait today, was the headlines then.
Yes.
Or the editorial pressure and whatever. So then as time went by, you started getting an idea. But today, after doing Broken News, I really understand the kind of pressures that journalists go through. That this is what is being read, this is what we need to provide. Everything else is like, they'll poor thing, that rookie reporter probably would take it to the editor and say, ye sab boring, kisko padna hai? Ye affair kiske saath hai, wo lao.
Right.
Probably be thrown at them and told that. So I understand that now. And so there's a lot of respect.
So do you think that entertainment journalists in particular, because that's a field that you've seen closely over the years, right? There's been spotlight on you, and they've obviously they'll be interested in your life to a huge extent. Do you think they've not focused on things that really matter to entertainment as a field or show business in particular?
Mayank, I have if as a journalist, when you are, say, covering the war or you're at a hospital or covering an accident, if you got something wrong, there's such a hue and cry about it. People get angry, they get upset that you did that. So that journalist is very particular about it. Entertainment journalists, people are like, to theek hai na, actors hi to hai, unke bare mein kuch aur bole, how does it matter? They have such an easy life. That's the attitude is that.
You're dehumanizing them.
Exactly. And so if that journalist or reporter or whoever is not reporting, nobody cares that it's not the truth. Because they think you have it so good anyway. How does it matter if you're feeling hurt?
Right, it comes with the job. It's an occupational hazard.
Yeah.
Right. Like for instance, I'll give you an example, and something that happened about say 6-7 years ago, maybe a little less than say 3-4 years ago, which is the Me Too movement, right? And that was really led by entertainment journalists looking into show business as a field and the way women are treated, outing each one that they could find, being as responsible as a lot of them were. I'd like to believe. Do you think that was a good movement? That was something that you could make a difference to the world that you're reporting on.
If Me Too movement, see, there are two aspects to it also. I'm glad that a Me Too movement did start, but the way. What about other professions? If not, I actually genuinely believe that we are so much in the public eye that the Me Too in that sense is so much more curtailed here than it is in professions that you don't even know. You don't talk about it in the police officers, you don't talk about it in the lawyers or in the courtrooms, you don't talk about it in the corporate world. They're powerful people. It's so easy to talk about film and film people.
Because that's soft power.
Exactly. And soft targets.
Right.
So,
right.
So I would have more respect for the movement if it went across equally for everything and everybody who actually went through it. Then I would have more respect for it.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.